Okay, welcome back everybody to another set of Web3 demos in the BanklessDAO server brought to you by Fight Club and DAOlationships. These are brought to you every single Wednesday. What we try and do is just showcase new and exciting Web3 projects. People are in hardcore builder mode, and a ton of amazing stuff is coming out of all these different platforms, all the different protocols, all the different builders, all the different founders. People are building vigorously, and we love shedding light on all the different teams out there doing awesome, cool stuff. For those of you not familiar with BanklessDAO, BanklessDAO is on a mission to help the world build and adopt decentralized financial services. Fight Club VC is an investment DAO of BanklessDAO. We have a token-gated deal flow and an investment education track that people can access through ownership of our Fight Club NFT. Find out more at fightclub.vc. And DAOlationships is I had this loaded up earlier. I had a quick little intro of DAOlationships, which was a metaBD group. Basically, DAOlationships helps with connections within the Web3 ecosystem. Think of it like BD meets inter-team relationships. It's really a great program that was spun up here within BanklessDAO and now also exists within its own Discord server. So you can find the links to that in the YouTube video down below. Today, I just want to remind everybody that none of this is financial, investment, legal, tax, or any other kind of advice. And to let you know that we have a really cool project which is all about messaging. This project was brought to us from one of our trusted and beloved DAO contributors, obstructed.eth. He's been in touch with Ashot, so I'm just going to let Obstructed take the mic here and let us know what we have in store.
Hello, everyone. So today we're presenting Comm, that is a sovereign, federated, and private alternative to Discord and Slack. Comm communities are hosted on key servers, which are personal and private servers. So I came across it while researching alternatives to Discord, because we all know Discord is centralized, can be a failure point to all of us working in Web3, because we use it to communicate with each other. So I'll leave the word to Ashwat to introduce himself and the project.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for having me. So my name is Ashot, I'm the founder of Comm. And to give you some background on Comm, I mean, zooming out a little bit, in the world today, we sort of have two categories of chat apps. We have private chat apps like Signal, like iMessage, that are encrypted, but are fairly simple, don't have a lot of features. And then we have more sophisticated chat apps like Telegram, like Discord, etc. Now, if there was one community in the world that I would hope would, prioritize sovereignty and privacy, it would be the crypto community. And yet here we are in a world where all of crypto is kind of on Discord, kind of on Telegram, not on Signal, and if we step back a little bit and ask ourselves, why is this? Well, I think it's kind of generally true in the world that if you ever ask somebody to take a trade-off between product and a principle like privacy or sovereignty, they're usually going to pick the product. And to understand why people in crypto use Telegram and Discord, we really first have to answer the question of why isn't there any alternative to Discord that's like Signal, that's actually encrypted, that's private. Well, the background here is really that apps like Signal don't have a backend. There's no backend for Signal, right? The backend is really implemented on the client. And I'm simplifying a little bit here, but it's basically true. So when you do a search query in Signal, you're searching your device locally. Backup is handled on your device locally. And that's two examples, but there are many more. So many years ago, I started working on Comm, and Comm you can see here. This is Comm. You can see it on my screen. Comm is somewhere in between Slack and Discord and Telegram. You can see it's an app built for messaging. It's an app built for communities. And I've been working on it actually since 2015, if you look at the history in the repo. But in 2020, I decided I wanted to make it sovereign. I wanted to make it encrypted. And when I started on that journey, I learned pretty quickly that it was a lot harder than I thought. And the reason is, apps on a mobile device, iOS apps, Android apps, they just can't do everything that a server can do. And so we at Comm came up with a solution, and we call the solution the key server, but you could think of it as a personal private server. We believe in the future, everybody will have their own server. This is the big idea behind Comm. And we believe that so deeply because we know that the only way to scale the technology we need to get universal sovereignty, to get universal privacy, is with personal servers. And so Comm at its core is an application built on this model. So on the left here, you can see a list of communities, right? Just like on Discord, we see this list kind of appear on the left side. What's distinct about Comm is that these communities are hosted on key servers. These are, you could think of it as sort of a federated model, kind of similar to how, any of the Farcasters and Mastodons of the world work for Twitter. We kind of take a similar approach to Discord. So, Discord calls them servers, but they're not really servers. In Comm, they really are servers. So here you can see my Burning Man camp. It's called Mindshark, right? And you can see kind of the structure, right? And one cool thing in Comm is we have this sort of tree structure, right? So we allow you to have nested channels. Like we have a team that works on LED Dome in our Burning Man camp. And within that, we have, teams working on specific parts of that, whether that's the stage or, whether that is this like wand thing that we're using to kind of control this LED dome. Now, Comm, it's really oriented around a little bit more so than Discord, around trying to get things done. And so you can see we have this idea of an inbox front and center. So this inbox shows you kind of like Telegram, kind of like Signal, shows you kind of, a time-ordered list of all the chats that you're part of, right? So looking at my kind of universal inbox here, you can see a lot of different chats that I'm part of. Obviously, you can see my chat with Abstract here, trying to figure out how to get to the amphitheater, trying to figure out how to get a guest pass, kind of typical stuff. And one thing you'll notice here is that we do support Ethereum identities. You can sign in with an Ethereum wallet. You can use your ENS name. We also allow you to use an ENS avatar in Comm. And that kind of lines up with our belief in sovereign identities. Just like we believe in sovereign data, we believe in sovereign identities. And speaking of sovereign data, all of the data here is stored on the key server. And all that data is fully sovereign in the sense that it's up to the community where to store it, right? The community controls that data. The community can access that database directly. It can mutate that database. It can query that database. And if eventually people want to move away from Comm is a fully open source application from start to finish. Everything from the clients to the backends to even our services in the cloud. All of those things are fully open source. And that's one of our core beliefs, that we don't want people to get locked into Comm. We started as an open source project, and that's really how we think about ourselves. Another cool feature in Comm is we have an integrated calendar, right? So this feature, is something we actually built even before the chat. My Burning Man camp really needed this, right? And so it's an easy way to just kind of add events. You can see, you don't have to do too much. When you add an event, you just have to pick like a channel, and then you can type something in, and boom, it's done. So we use this on the team, to track people's availability, track events, and you can see kind of, the Comm team, obviously dog foods, meaning, it's a term meaning eat your own dog food. Basically, we test our own product, right? So we use the Comm product to organize our team. You can see kind of some of the features. We have a lot more sophisticated sort of formatting controls, everything from headings to lists to code blocks, all of that supported. We have a lot of the features, you would expect in a messaging app, like reactions. We let you kind of @tag people. We have support for videos and photos. All of this took a long time to build. So we've been at it for quite some time, 8 years now. I also like to talk a little bit about our node of support. So this is something really contrasts us with Discord and even with Telegram. So, one of the challenges that I often find myself dealing with in Telegram, every time I open the app, the top 20 chats I see on screen are all these group chats that, I'm part of, but maybe I don't spend too much time on. And so, Comm lets you sort those into this background tab. The background tab is for everything that you maybe have muted, that you maybe don't want to leave, but, is not a big priority for you. Whereas focused means that you're getting badged for it. Badged is when you get this number 2 over here, or this number 2, on the app icon. That tells you how many unreads you have. And at Comm, we actually allow you to badge a chat without necessarily requiring you to also have banner notice. So we're able to kind of separate that sort of functionality a little bit. You can see we allow kind of, folks to set colors for chats, to set avatars for chats. We also have this cool support for, you can see threads just like in Discord, but one difference is you see threads appear underneath the parent in the inbox. And because we have this sort of tree structure of channels, we actually allow you to promote a thread to be a full-fledged channel, to be part of the sort of tree structure over here. So that is kind of most of the demo, the functionality. Now we have a macOS app that you're looking at right now, but we also have a Windows app, we have an iOS app, we have an Android app, we even have a web app. And you can sign up today and start kind of beta testing it. Now we're a little bit early. We haven't actually kind of finished building this whole thing, but you can see kind of we have a lot of the product functionality done, and we're working today on expanding it from supporting kind of one key server at a time to being able to support many key servers at a time. Now from here, I can kind of jump into either talking a little bit more about the architecture or something like that. I don't know if there's a questions part of this, but yeah, well, what should I talk about next?
Hello. Hi. That's amazing. I have to say, I was really impressed with the app, with the Android app that I use. It's so smooth and works perfectly.
Thank you.
One thing that I like to dive in is the servers, how they work, what kind of maybe hardware is needed.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So today we support the key server in a Docker sort of environment. If any of you are familiar with Docker, Docker is a containerization platform. So you can install Docker on a Mac or Windows computer. You can run it in a Linux environment as well, and you're able to deploy what's called a Docker container and run the key server that way. But we have a lot of ambitions to make it a little bit easier to run a key server, right? So Docker maybe is a little bit oriented for technical folks who have maybe done some sort of programming or sysadmin stuff in the past. We're working on actually integrating the Comm key server into the Comm application. So what you see me streaming right now, this macOS application, that itself can be a server, right? And a lot of what we're trying to do, people sometimes are intimidated when they hear the word server. They think, oh, I have to set up all this hardware. I need to set up a data center. A server doesn't need to be that complicated. Think about all the connected light bulbs, connected fridges, connected washing machines that we have in the world today. A server can be as simple as a small device that you can plug into a wall socket, connects to your Wi-Fi, and just works. And that's kind of one of our long-term goals, is to make it possible for people to actually, buy a little device and just, plug it in their home, and that can be their server. So we do believe in a future where everyone has a server, and that's kind of a big part of what we're doing. Besides that, more about the architecture. So the server itself is written in JavaScript, so it's a Node.js server. You can check out all the source code. I'm going to actually link the kind of repo over here, so you guys can go check that out, and you can see the key server code there. It uses a SQL database under the hood, and also uses Redis, which is kind of like a cache layer as well. I'm seeing a question from 0xZfi in the chat. Abstract, should I just answer that?
Yeah, I missed that.
Yeah. So we use a lot of voice channels, video sharing, and stage features. Does Comm support these kinds of things yet? So I'm gonna be honest with you, we don't support those features yet. And it's a question of what we prioritize and what we get done first. And how we see it is, Discord's built a really, really good product for a set of use cases. And for use cases like BanklessDAO, being able to scale to, thousands of members, being able to do all this video streaming, all that kind of stuff, it's awesome. but it's a lot of work. And so we need to kind of start somewhere. And so we're trying to start with a kind of more limited feature set. And, you know, obviously we have a lot of stuff for chat, but we don't have kind of the voice channels quite yet. So just unfortunately, that's the case.
Amazing.
Oh, but future plans. Yep. Sorry, UX DeFi is following up. Yeah, yes, future plans. Yeah, and I think he's still typing, or sorry, I shouldn't say he, they are still typing. Yeah, we do have future plans to support all of this. So, you know, there is a really great kind of open source library called Jitsi. I don't know if you guys have ever heard about Jitsi, but it is, I'll link it here. Jitsi is a free and open source library for video conferencing. And so we're looking to integrate Jitsi. Today we support videos, but not live videos, right? So in order to support live videos, we need to kind of integrate a lot more infrastructure. And it's something where, you know, also to maintain that privacy and maintain that sovereignty always is a bit of extra work for us. And so doing this right in terms of both performance and quality, but also in terms of kind of the ethos of sovereignty and privacy will take some time.
Amazing.
Yeah, go ahead.
One really interesting feature that I think is worth diving is that being in the server, the data will be concentrated there, but I know you told me there is a backup system will allow people to recover the data. Is that
absolutely
correct?
Yeah, absolutely, right? So this is one of the issues that I personally have with a lot of end-to-end encrypted applications myself. You know, applications like Signal, I love Signal, but every time I get a new phone, I have trouble transferring my data, I end up losing some data, and it's always a bummer. And you look at other end-to-end encrypted applications like WhatsApp, and you know they let you back your data up in iCloud or Google Cloud, but you know Google Drive, sorry, but that's not much better. So you know in terms of privacy, it kind of compromises some of the privacy guarantees, right? And so Comm, and this is actually maybe a point where I should link our white paper. So Comm's approach to backup is very unique. And in particular, our approach to backup using an Ethereum wallet is very unique. We let you recover all of your data as long as you still control your wallet. So you could imagine, you know, your server burns down, your house burns down, all of your phones are stolen, everything is gone. As long as you still control your Ethereum wallet, you can still recover your data. And the way that works is we have you sign a message when you create your account. And that signed message, we pass through something called a key derivation function that allows us to generate a public-private key pair using the signed message. Then we keep that signed message a secret. We keep that public-private key pair a secret. But it can be regenerated using that very same signed message. And so if you lose all your data, you come back and want to recover it, we're able to surface that same message for you, have you sign it, generate that very same private key, and then you're able to decrypt that backup that you've previously uploaded. And so all this and more is described in our white paper. And let me just pull up the link for that. I'll share that as well. Let's see. Yeah, there's a link of our current draft of our white paper. It's not quite finished. Pretty much all the technical stuff is pretty much finished, but we still need to sort of polish up some of the language there and make it a little bit more readable, less academic maybe. So yeah.
Perfect. I'd like to ask you, what's your business model that you have thought up?
Yeah, great question. So Comm does have several kind of services that we provide in the cloud. So one of those is like that backup service. And so our approach with the backup service is, well, we have a backup script you can use and you can kind of run it yourself. You know, if you do kind of use that backup service, there's a free tier, and if you exceed that free tier, then there's a paid tier. And so that's kind of one of the ways we're looking to monetize. Besides that, we've thought about a lot of stuff, everything from you know, a token model where people who are hosting a key server can be compensated by other members of their community for that service. we've also thought about, different sorts of sort of models like what Android does with a fully open source kind of core, but then like something like a Play Store inside there. We certainly wouldn't want to ban other stores the way that Apple has. That said, with all this said, we don't currently have any monetization plans. We don't currently have any sort of anything in the works on the monetization side. Our view is sort of, we see key servers as inevitable, and we figure if we get there first, like there will be 1,000 ways to monetize it. And the important thing is getting that product off the ground.
Amazing. We are early. Yeah, there is a question from NF Tinker.
Yeah.
Is there a 2FA option for recovering data along with your wallet? What if your wallet is compromised?
Yeah, so we don't have a great solution for that. This is one of the biggest kind of unsolved problems, arguably, in crypto, the question of wallet security, right? So we don't have a two-factor option. We definitely could integrate a two-factor option that just uses something like Google Authenticator with like those pre-made codes. But one thing I'll tell you we're really excited about is actually social sharding. So I'm sure some of you have heard of this idea before, but Comm at its core, we have a social network here, right? So if you go into here, you can see your friend list, right? And I'm quite popular. I guess I have some friend requests and a lot more outgoing ones, but you can see I have a lot of friends on the app. And so these friends are real people, right? And these real people are folks that I trust. And so the idea of social sharding is to take my private key and to break down, let's say, into like 10 pieces, and then to give each piece to maybe 2 or 3 of my friends. And then if I lose my account, the way I can actually recover it is by sort of like a Power Rangers move. By our powers combined, everyone takes their shard, puts it together, and you're able to recover your account. And a lot of really cool cryptography is actually possible when you have a social network, because a social network doesn't have anything called there's no closed subgraphs, using a computer science term. So everyone's connected to everyone else somehow. You can usually draw a line from any person in a social network to any other person. And so, we've done a lot of thinking around things like, having a gossip protocol to share like the root of a Merkle tree. That kind of technology, can be used to get decentralized consensus in a way that actually avoids some of the costs associated with a massive blockchain.
Nice. It's really, really cool.
Cool, guys.
What's the future feature that you're more excited about?
Ooh, that's a good question. One of the biggest features that we've been working on recently is encrypted DMs. So I mentioned, in Comm, chats exist under a key server, right? So every community that you see here, these communities all exist on a specific key server. With that said, though, sometimes you want to have a chat with a group of people, and you don't necessarily need to host that in anyone's particular key server. You want everyone to be equals, right? And so we're working on end-to-end encrypted DMs that work really similar to how Signal works. That are just sort of peer-to-peer without any particular hosting key server. And that's something we're working on and should have done by the end of the year. And that's really the main thing blocking us from making a full launch. Like, we really do believe like we have to get that feature done before we can launch, because it's something we think is critical to be able to support DMs.
Amazing. Yeah, that'd be really cool. I'd like to maybe open the stage for questions if anyone has some.
I'm gonna jump in there. I was just doing my my stealth questions in the chat there, but yeah, I really love the demo. Love the product. Looks cool. I totally get the need for having these key servers. I wasn't quite sure what that meant before, and now it's fully clear. So what about in terms of other competitors out there? I heard you mention like a decentralized Discord. And I know there are people like Console and a few other applications who are building out there who are trying to replace Discord. So do you see anybody out there building in your direction that you either see as competition or potential collaborations?
Yeah, totally. So maybe starting with a little bit of kind of like more historical competitors, I think, you know, probably the clearest competitor I can point to is Keybase. Unfortunately, Keybase was acquired by Zoom and all but shut down. But Keybase was historically maybe the first attempt to build, you know, private sovereign alternative to applications like Matrix and to applications like Slack and Discord. Gotta give credit where credit's due. Keybase is an interesting case because they kind of had to make some sacrifices on the privacy side to enable the functionality that they got, and ultimately, even with those sacrifices, the functionality is quite limited. And you know, Keybase to me is a really good example of how things are limited if you don't have personal servers, and they're a really strong argument for me that you do need personal servers. The next example I'll give is matrix.org. So matrix.org, probably some of you might be familiar with. We actually use their end-to-end encryption library. So we have a lot, you know, we owe to Matrix. Matrix maybe was the first sort of like federated alternative to things like Slack and Discord. So whereas Keybase, ultimately, though it is encrypted, Keybase is still centralized. Matrix is federated. So in Matrix, when you create an account, you have a home server that your account is on. Now, big difference between Matrix and Comm is, you know, a home server in Matrix is run by a third party, and that third party has access to all the data on the home server. And given that, the end-to-end encryption algorithm kind of approach that Matrix takes is, by necessity, they hide the data from the home server, which means similar to Signal, Matrix doesn't have any server that can kind of respond to requests with plain text access. So they're similarly pretty limited in their functionality, but they have a similar kind of approach to federation. Comm is different because we don't allow third parties to host your key server. It is, in fact, your responsibility to host your key server. And you know, it does mean it's a bit more work, and that is also why Comm works without a key server. So you can create an account, you can install the app without a key server. You just need a key server if you want to host a community. So if you want to create your own community, that needs to be hosted on a key server, and that's where you have to set one up. Now, there are a lot of alternatives kind of in this space. Obviously, like Console is one such example. There's a lot of other ones. What I'll say, and you know, I don't know everything about Console, yes, I don't want to overspeak. I haven't seen their source code. I'm not sure if it's open source or not. I also don't know if it's encrypted or sovereign in any proper way. My kind of interpretation, and actually looking at their facts, they're not currently open source, and they aim to be sufficiently decentralized, but they're sort of using the matrix.org approach. So what I've found with a lot of these, you know, Web3 discords, there's a lot of them. Typically, they are more focused on creating like the product as an alternative to Discord and paying some degree of lip service to the values of decentralization and sovereignty and privacy. But I really do think Comm, of all the projects out there, Comm is the one that's most committed to this vision. Again, we've been open source since 2015, since the very start. Our approach from the start has been about key servers, has been about self-hosting your data. It's been about sovereignty. We've never had plain text access to user data. We don't plan to ever have access to that data. Our privacy policy is very explicit about that. So I think, you know, if you see yourself as being very values driven, if you're moving off of Discord because you find that Discord is too centralized and it doesn't do the sovereignty and privacy that you're looking for, then I really think Comm is the best alternative.
Nice. Well, we're going to be hosting a demo with Console on the 19th of January. So yeah, feel free to come by and have a listen and hit them up with all your questions as well.
You said the 19th of January, like in 6 months?
Sorry, July. I meant to say July.
Okay. Yeah, makes more sense. Cool.
Yeah, next month, 19th of July. We're
Cool,
booked
yeah.
out in advance, but not that far in advance.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. So what have been your most requested feature updates from people? Obviously, audio and video seem pretty standard, but is there anything else that people have really been clamoring for?
Yeah, I mean, like, a lot of it has been just the basic sort of chat feature. Implement kind of what people are asking for. One of the things we're missing still today is message deleting. So that's something we're working on pretty soon. Another one I mentioned is multi-key server support. So the ability to have a single client support multiple key servers at once. That's a really big one, and that's one we should have done within about a month and a half. But yeah, most of these features started as things that were demanded by the community. So one thing I'll kind of leave for you guys is we're kind of in an alpha stage right now. We're looking for kind of initial communities to sort of test Comm. And we're looking really for design partners. We're looking for folks that are willing to kind of help us build the future of Comm, both in terms of helping us prioritize what features we want to ship, but also in terms of just kind of giving us beta feedback, kind of telling us what are some of the issues that we really need to get resolved. So if you or anyone you know is interested in something like this, or if you have a community that might be interested in being onboarded onto Comm, please reach out to me either via Discord or honestly, literally anything. I have the same username on Telegram. Nice perk of having a weird spelling of a weird name is I have my username everywhere.
You got that Twitter handle first, didn't you?
Yeah, I got the Twitter handle. I just got the Discord handle after they did the username thing.
Nice. Abstracted, do you have any other questions for Ash?
Hi. No, not really. I think this was like very explanatory.
Cool, guys. Well, thanks everyone for joining. And yeah, definitely reach out to me if you're interested in testing.
Thank you, Asha.
Yeah,
Thank you,
amazing.
everyone.
Thanks a lot for having us along. I just wanted to let you know that the streaming was interrupted after about 30 minutes due to an internet problem on the AV side, unfortunately, but we do have a recording and we're just going to replace that. So I'll be sending you that link after it's uploaded to YouTube, and you can share that along with your community.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. I just want to end this space by reminding everybody that none of this has been financial investment, legal, tax, or any other kind of advice. We're just here checking out great new projects, and today was no exception. Thank you very much, Ash. Thanks to our guest host, Abstracted. If you are in BanklessDAO and you want to host a demo, you got a favorite project out there that you want to get up on stage, please let us know, and we'll get you on stage hosting the next demo. Thanks a lot, everybody, and we'll see you in about 5 minutes for our next demo with Station X.